All right, good day, folks. My name's Asia Smith, and I'm here with Iris Barratt. So looking forward to getting to learn more about her and her expertise and her services today. Iris, I'd love to give folks the opportunity to get to know you a little bit. Can we hear more about your story? Who are you? What brings you to us today? What's your expertise?
So I've been working with psychic children since 1983. I'm 66 years old, so I've been doing this for a long time.
Mhm.
I've taught a ton of personal growth, metaphysical, parapsychology classes, hypnotherapy classes. I'm a certified clinical hypnotherapist, have been for like 30 years. I'm a palmistry expert. Didn't consider myself an expert until I had done it professionally full-time for over 30 years.
Wow.
So doing all of these spiritual, metaphysical, personal growth related classes has naturally drawn these people to me. I'm also a minister, have been since about the same time, about 1982. I love to write. I'm an award-winning author and poet, so I help people with scenic weddings and ceremonies. I love to write ceremony. That's a lot of fun for me too.
Mhm.
So I'm a lifelong learner with a lot of different skill sets, and I
Yeah.
love every single one of them.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I was just going to say, certainly many, many skill sets. And that actually leads me to a follow-up question about your story before we get more into what you do, because you're so dynamic and so interesting. What was it like growing up, having all of these different talents? And how was that? Yeah,
Well, and of course, my skill sets have evolved over time.
absolutely.
However, I grew up in Salt Lake City, Utah, in a very conservative Mormon family.
Mhm.
And I was very different than the rest of my family.
Yeah.
And so that was challenging. I was able to see angels when I was young. I was able to know a lot of things.
Mhm.
And people would say, well, that's bizarre and that's crazy. And how can you know that? And I got really tired of people telling me I was crazy or weird or bizarre.
Mhm.
So I sort of had to deal with a lot of the shame and the social unacceptance that I was raised with in Salt Lake. I had a wonderful grandmother, however, who was my mother's mother, who was very loving and accepting, and that helped a lot.
Yeah.
Um, I was very much an intuitive empath. I had a whole tribe of brothers and sisters, and I was very good at anticipating their needs, as many children who are empaths are very, very good at.
Mhm. Mhm.
So it was challenging, but all in all, I was a happy child who loved to explore anything and everything. That's never changed.
Yeah, yeah. And so it's only natural that now you're working with these children and their parents. And so this is a really great segue into what led you to doing the work that you do. And so could you tell us a little bit more about that?
Well, so I was doing palmistry, hypnotherapy, doing a lot of teaching, lectures, private consultations. And so people would find me, the parents would find me, and they would come to me and say, help, especially for many years, I worked in Utah and Idaho, and Colorado, which are very conservative states. So people would
Mm.
come to me and say, I don't understand what's going on with my child. I'm concerned. And some of the concerns were very, very valid. And oftentimes the kids were amazing. It was the parents dealing with their mental, rational place that had a harder time understanding that children were coming more from a universal emotional place and parents are coming from the personal, rational, which totally makes sense. Parents are here to teach you to survive Earth school, learn how to work with your Earth suit. You know, they're the practical grounding influence. So it's perfect. And yet kids also have a lot to teach parents from more of an emotional universal perspective in my experience.
Yeah, yeah. Wow, wow. So all that being said, how would you say you help children the most?
You know, by giving them the understanding that they deserve, giving them the empathy that they deserve, and teaching them processes to be part of the process. So I'd like to share an example.
Yeah.
Probably, Asia, the most common one is dealing with ghosts. Ghosts are
Mm.
reality. They can be noisy, they can be annoying,
Yeah.
really scary for kids. And so parents will call me and say, oh my goodness, what do I do? So what I've learned is to teach children, empower them to be part of the process, teach them a process of empowerment. So regardless of what the kids go through, that's basically the foundation of it. Having the parents assist them in this way. So one of the things that is super important is raising the vibration. So we can do that through music. We can do that through incense or essential oils. We can do that through visualization, music, dance, anything where the children can imagine that they are sharing all this love and light and beautiful energy, glitter, rainbows, stars, whatever it is they want, they get to choose. And so sending these beings some kind of loving, positive, light-filled, joyful energy really does totally change the vibration. And it changes the whole situation. And it gives the kids a tool or a process that they can use within their future. The same thing happens, for example, when there was a tsunami in Indonesia, which was really difficult. When tragedies happen, somebody's dog is killed, whatever the tragedy is, teaching children to be part of the solution. So we may ask the children, what color of beautiful, loving energy would you like to send to the situation and the people? Again, glitter, stars, rainbows, whatever it is they choose. And so they show up from the very best and brightest, most beautiful part of themselves, and they give their loving energy. And what I've learned, the most important thing I've learned, and I learned this over and over again, and I teach this a lot, which is to be able to give from the best part of yourself, the love, the energy, however you do that, and then you can detach and let go. So, you know, it's like instead of dodging and dancing and doing all the other, you know, things that we have a tendency to do, I've done them all. So to teach them to be part of the process in an empowering way, and also plant the seed that now we can let it be. We've served it, we've given the best we have to give, and now we can just let it go and know that those people are feeling better and that they're blessed. And it makes a huge difference for these children because they feel empowered. They are part of an empowering process. They are part of the solution. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. It absolutely does. And I love that perspective of empowerment. And even just hearing you speak about working with these kids, these are skills that folks in their adult lives. And I think about empaths. I identify as an empath myself, and I'm thinking, wow, if only I had access to this type of support. And I think even family members and folks where there was a bit of misunderstanding there. I think just for my perspective and how I relate to things, it's amazing the work that you do. And so
one of the things I want to point out real quick about being an empath, the most beautiful part, the gift that empaths are here to bring to the planet is compassion.
Absolutely.
Now, it can be difficult because we tune into everybody's stuff, which is a challenge. However, if we can use the very best parts of our empathic nature to be of service and put our compassion out there and develop our compassion. And oftentimes when you start with developing that compassion, it leads to accepting more psychic abilities as they come forward over time. And a lot of times with the heart, not necessarily just the mind. People think, my kids used to tease me, oh, people say you have psychic mental powers. And I had to say, I'm not really super smart, and I wouldn't say I have psychic mental powers. It works through my heart because I really genuinely care about people. That's how I can know things. And my kids were, oh, yeah, right, okay. And they went off like, we totally get that about you. And the discussion was over. But that's an important aspect, I think. And then also empathic children being so sensitive, they can be prone to abuse. So it's very important for parents to be aware of the challenges of being empathic and the empowering aspects. So that's really important to me.
Yeah, absolutely. And that actually is a wonderful segue into my next question about how you best support parents. And so you were getting into how being a parent of an empathic child, there's so many layers to it. And because of that sensitivity, their kids might be susceptible to certain challenges or situations. And so how would you say you best help parents?
To understand and accept, number one, where their
Mm-hmm.
children are coming from. Teaching trust through conscious language is one of my big things.
Yeah.
Telling children, like, I trust you'll do your best to finish your homework before you go out to play. I trust you know I'll be there to pick you up at 3 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
Investing trust through language is huge. That's an important part.
Yeah.
I assist parents in a lot of ways. Teaching them to trust their kids is really big. And teaching, I mean, what I've learned is that our psychic abilities, our intuition, self-trust is the foundation. So
Okay.
parents learning to trust themselves and to trust their kids. And empathic kids are very, very sensitive to loud noises and craziness. They need soft, peaceful music. They need time and space alone.
Yeah.
They need to have their perspectives honored. What do you want? And to give them choices, healthy choices whenever you can. I also offer a lot of free resources for healthy coping skills for both parents and kids.
Yeah. Yep.
At some point in time or another. And I am a parent and a grandparent, and I understand it from both sides of the equation, from the budding psychic ability, whether that's happening in mom or dad or the children, as well as being a responsible parent who does their best to help their children adjust, because this is a fairly negative and violent world oftentimes that we live in, and it can be very harsh for sensitive children, as you know.
Yeah, I with what you're sharing, it's heartfelt. I'm like, yes, absolutely. And just with the learning piece as well, I think it's so interesting what you mentioned about budding abilities in the parents or in the kids, and really kind of relating to one another. It made me think, like, is this hereditary, do you feel, or have you seen trends in the work that you do, or the parents have abilities and so do the kids, or it's just something special that just happens to arise in the kids that you're working with? But yeah.
I've seen it all. I've seen amazing parents who were totally there and really get who their kids are. I've seen, and the same is true for other challenges, transgender challenges and other things. Sometimes the parents are super conservative with these children they have no idea how to deal with. So I've sort of seen it all, and there are certainly patterns, but there's also exceptions to every rule when it comes to this kind of stuff. So, assisting parents is a really important aspect of what I do, and helping them look at how they can best develop their children's skills and abilities. Some of these children are absolutely exceptional.
Yeah.
And I feel like I work the spectrum from, empathic, sensitive, highly sensitive children who either have challenges or are gifted in that way, all the way up to people who have full-blown interdimensional visionary experiences. And there's a huge spectrum there. Yeah. And so to be able to respect it and understand it, and sometimes parents just love having someone else who is practical, grounded, who has experience, who has great suggestions, to have their back.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That's fantastic. And I think it's also wonderful that you are so aware of the different types of experiences that these kids can have, as well as their parents. And so you're able to work with families from different backgrounds, different dimensions, if you will. And so I think it's wonderful that you're someone who's flexible and adaptable and who can relate to so many different people. That's awesome. Yeah. And in the spirit of lifelong learning, you mentioned at the beginning of our chat that you're a lifelong learner. What would you say you have learned the most through the experience of doing the work that you do?
Establishing trust is huge between parent and child, and self-trust, again, is the foundation for inner knowing. So I work a lot with conscious and intentional language. There are so many fabulous resources out there for people. This is what gets me excited. This is what gets me up in the morning. You know, I've studied MLP, hypnotherapy. Astrology is another fabulous tool that I feel very strongly about. Being able to look at the astrology of these young people and or their parents as well, and give them deeper understanding of who they are, why they're here, what their challenges are, what their blessings are. All of that is extremely important. So I use astrology as a tool a lot, especially if people feel stuck. The most important thing I've learned is that everybody has something to teach everybody. And these psychic children, in fact, you'll appreciate this, Asia. One of the recent things a psychic child said to me, we were talking and she said, we were talking about diet and alkalinity, how it's healthy for you. And she said, do you know what the most alkaline thing in the world is? And I said, if I had to guess, I would say baking soda and lemons. And she said to me, no, I know what it is and I want to tell you. And I said, what? She said, innocence. And I went, ooh. So I sat with that I'm still sitting with that innocence. How beautiful is that?
Yeah.
How beautiful is that? And I help children retain their innocence, and I help parents regain their innocence. You know, these innocent, beautiful children. And I have to say, honestly, Asia, the ones who are the most supremely gifted in my experience are the ones who can maintain that innocence. So I do everything I can to help them regain it or maintain it, whether those are parents or children. Oftentimes I have to help deal with sibling issues. When you have a very gifted child, other siblings can be really jealous, and you know, you kind of have to work a little bit with everybody. So empowering the ones who feel less than is often the best thing I can do for the exceptional child. So it really depends on the situation.
Wow. And I feel like there are so many perspectives that folks haven't even thought of, with you bringing up the sibling and making sure that that sibling feels supported. And so that what you're able to do and how you're able to transform families, it isn't just for that gifted child or the gifted parent, but it's a team, and everyone is involved and can benefit from the work that you're doing. So that's fantastic.
It's so true. And sometimes children connect psychically with grandparents who have been long gone, who have messages for them or for the family. And so, you know, the range is really limitless. And having that compassion, that understanding, having a lot of tools and processes, it just brings me incredible joy to do this work.
That's fantastic and absolutely beautiful. And so Iris, for families that need you and want to work with you, where can we find you? Let us know how we can contact you.
Good. So I have an Etsy shop. And I started putting it out there because I needed to be able to set some boundaries with my schedule, for one thing. So I have an Etsy shop called Evolving Genius Awards. And the reason my shop is called that is because I have over 40 fabulous awards. And that's another thing I offer parents, is I teach them how to not only encourage and support their children, but how to honor them. So I have these wonderful awards, Gifted and Talented Child Awards, and Loving Kindness Awards, and Childlike Wonder Awards. So I have a lot of wonderful awards that can empower the parents and empower the kids. So you can find me on Etsy. Evolving Genius Awards is my shop. I also have a website called anonymousexpressions.com, which also focuses on, you know, these children, they love to give surprises. They love to receive surprises. And that's what my honoring awards are all about. And then my email is mentor, mentor, at anonymousexpressions.com.
Wonderful. Well, this has been an absolute pleasure getting to know more about your story and just everything that you're offering to folks in the world. There's so many families that can benefit from this. So thank you, Iris, for the work that you're doing, for your energy, and just everything that you're doing to help elevate and lift the vibrations of the collective. And so, you know, folks watching this, thanks so much for your time. Definitely reach out to Iris.
Asia, thank you kindly. I really appreciate your enthusiasm about my topic. Thank you so very much.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I hope you have a great rest of the day and take care.
You too. Thank you, love.
Yeah.